Hey everyone, Tom here at Cerulean Bay, and we are back for another cool episode about another room in the house here. Probably one of the most important rooms in the house is the bedroom. We've got a bunch of really practical advice and some cool design ideas for making you feel like you are on that secluded paradise island with the beach just right outside your door, bringing you all kinds of tips and inspiration so you can have that true sense of the tropics right there in your bedroom. If you happen to have an accessible little patio space, maybe, or just a door that leads out to the backyard, there's a way that you can tie the two spaces together. So we're going to get into that. And the tropical design style really does bring a true sense of serenity and escape when it's done right. The inspirations come from nature, and they include things that are only found in remote tropical destinations. So the real emphasis here for the bedrooms is that it is about true relaxation, about winding down. Because I think a lot of people forget that the bedroom is really a refuge. It is a place for quiet intimacy and for restorative sleeping. If people would just really focus on that intimacy part and the sleeping part, that's what the bedroom is for when you have the rest of the house that's for everything else. So what that really translates into is no TVs and no computers in the bedroom. We are big believers in that. So many people have TVs in the bedroom, and not only does it not work decor-wise, it also is just a big detractor, and it just takes away from the space visually. It's just not something that we believe belongs in the bedroom. There are more and more studies which are coming out which show that the blue light which is emitted from the TV screen is just as bad as the blue light that's emanating from cell phones, and these can actually interrupt your sleep cycle. There's your circadian rhythm that it starts to mess with, and we are not sleep experts here, but we do think we know the meaning of a comfortable bedroom. And when you have things in there which truly don't belong, your body is going to tell you, your mind is going to tell you. There's things that just put out an energy that don't belong in there. And technology is one of them. We just say no computers, no TVs. We do believe in keeping a cell phone in there for emergencies or whatever, especially if you've got other family members or children in the house, but turn that volume down, point it downwards, no light coming out of it. Really, the use of cell phones should be very minimal in a bedroom. So having said that, if you are thinking about just making a few updates, or you really want to redo the entire room, whether it's a master bedroom or a guest room, you just want to turn these into a wonderful tropical retreat. There's a lot of exotic design elements you can look at, some of them that you might not have thought of, which we will touch on. And these include different color palettes for paint, different wallpaper patterns, things that can carry over into bedding, whether it's going to be solid colors or you're going to have some heavy duty prints or motifs there. Then there's your accents in your decor. All of it can really tie together and create the lively scene during the day, which is just the rainforest that's alive during the day, or just a really nice beach scene, which is full of life, but relaxing and peaceful energy during the day. Then when nighttime comes, everything quiets down, everything's calm, it's very dark, and you don't have anything in there that's really intruding on what should be a really nice night of sleep. Just remember that tropical style is all about recreating that fun, playful, and yet serene vibe, and serene being the key word for bedrooms. This is where you really want to think about in these different design styles what you want to have in them. If you're really into palm trees, focus on that. There's the elements of the different palm fronds, different palm leaves, the trunks of these trees with the colors and the textures, things that you can bring in from that. If you're more into plant life, such as the kind of the lush landscaping that you would see in a rainforest or maybe at a tropical resort, then you've got things like the hibiscus plants and the bird of paradise and the bamboo. If you start getting into like earthy textural elements, you're looking at different rocks. Lava rock is a big one. River rocks, if you think of boulders maybe that you would see at a waterfall. Lots of earthy tones in there, jewel tones, which are in your browns and golds and coppers, and you're getting into your grays. Then, depending on where you are in your tropical resort, Are you seeing some actual buildings there, maybe at the resort, or if you are visiting out in a local village, you'll see things like woven textures, thatched roofs, just the way that these certain houses and buildings are constructed. What do they look like? You can create a very true and holistic picture of your perfect tropical escape if you start with some real down to earth, authentic tropical inspiration by looking at plant life, earthy textures, and then just how things are constructed. If there's any buildings located nearby, or if you should be inside, like you are at a resort and you're at a hotel, you're at a really cool place. Look at how it's decorated. What colors did they use? What kind of artwork is in there? All really cool, inspiring pieces that you can bring home to then infuse into these 10 design ideas that we're going to get into. Obviously, furnishings are a real important thing too to factor into this. So it's not just your walls and your carpets and your decor, but in a bedroom, you need a bed, you need nightstands, you need a dresser, maybe some other side pieces and things like this. But furniture is a truly vital component for your interior decorating. Whatever you choose for that needs to blend in with the whole look. So you're looking at bed frames and headboards. As I mentioned, the nightstands and the dressers. These are woods that can be darker in nature or they can go lighter. So you can get into the Hawaiian koa wood. You can get into mango wood. There's teak wood, mahoganies. You can get into traditional American hardwoods, which include oak and walnut. There's maple, there's cherry. Lots of really cool colors and different tones in all of those woods, which can tie into your overall look. These would combine with the different paint colors or wallpaper patterns and things like that that you're going to choose. And you can decide how big or how little you want to go when you are creating these looks, especially if you're thinking about big, bold patterns. All of these pieces need to really tie in together. And depending on the woods that you use, these will help you then to choose paint colors and wallpaper colors and patterns, any upholstery colors that you have in there, bedding colors, that a lot of that should be based on the type of woods that you're going to have, the kind of flooring that you choose to have, and then build your colors up from there. Because obviously it's a lot easier to change the paint on your walls than it is the color of your furniture. So start with the things that have that idea of permanence, as we've talked about in other shows, where once it's in there, and it's very hard to change it or it's very hard to move it. So the colors of actual furnishings and wood tones, those are pretty permanent. So you want to be able to build off of those once you have those in place. And then keeping in mind what the word tropical really means to you will help keep you on the right path. It'll help guide you into the right direction so that you don't start veering off into other kinds of design styles that are non-tropical. So just be very careful of that as you're thinking about things and picking up inspiration. Just, stay within that whole tropical guardrail. And you're going to come out with a really cool look, a very unique look, something that's just going to really work for that special place, which is your bedroom. As an example of this, if you're leaning towards something that maybe takes you to a serene beach look, something that reminds you of the soothing sounds of the ocean, you would want to then go maybe for lighter woods, something that's maybe a little more beachy or surfer inspired. Maple is a good wood for this. Anything that kind of maybe has a washed out look, or lighter paint colors if you happen to be using furnishings that are of painted wood. Or if you want to then go to more of a lush tropical look, the rainforest thing, this is where you can get into the darker woods, maybe some of the darker wall colors, something that's going to make you feel like you're in the jungle, you're in that tropical rainforest. And then whichever way you choose to go, just remember too to personalize your space. This is where things like family vacation photos, any cherished pieces or decor items that have been in your family for a long time, maybe they're really vintage or true antiques, they've just been handed down year upon year, decade upon decade. Those are things too that will really help to personalize your space. Because for us, unlike the living room or the kitchen or the family room where you have family and friends, you do your entertaining, there's all kinds of people that come over, the bedroom's different. This is your space. Maybe you and your spouse, your significant other, you just really personalize it for yourselves. So that's where we recommend just putting a little extra thought into that And yeah, just enhance that privacy aspect. It is your space. Really make it speak to you so that when you're ready to retire at the end of the day, you've got a place that is all about you. So, having said that, let's get into some of the big, bold patterns here that go into the design styles that we're going to talk about. Big, bold patterns, these typically feature the big tropical leaves, things like ferns, palm fronds, exotic flowers, different fruit like pineapples. You can get into animal imagery, and these things can appear on wallpaper, cushions, comforters, pillows, different upholstery. They can be in rugs, wall art. So, all of that, depending on what you like, will help guide you as we get into these different design styles. So just keep that in mind. If you want big, bold prints, maybe with some bolder pops of color, or if you want to go just smaller, more subdued, literally smaller patterns, or maybe no patterns. If you're not into wallpaper and you don't want any of that and you're going to stick strictly with paint, keeps it easy. Your walls are pretty much pattern free when it's just with paint. But keep that in mind as you are choosing which design style is going to work best for you. If you are considering going with a particular pattern and you want to carry that theme throughout the room, one example that we have, and we've got a great blog post on this, I'll put the link to it in the show notes, is when you look at certain wallpaper prints. There are really excellent wallpapers out there for bedrooms. They're not over the top. They're not going to make your bedroom look cheesy or anything like that. But if you've got some kind of a wallpaper, maybe with a couple shades of green in it on the lighter side, and it's maybe got some flamingos in it, then you look at the color of those flamingos and they're in a really cool pinkish coral color, suddenly you're transported to a tropical coastline because flamingos typically aren't found in rainforests. So this is a good way to go into that coastal look. But then that's where you can get a headboard maybe, which has some kind of a bird print on it, or it's done in that kind of a color. Similarly colored accent pieces. You can get pillows for a chair you might have in there, or certain pillows as a bedding set. You can look at cane maybe used on the cabinet doors. So that cane rattan look, you can carry that look through any other furnishings that you have going on in the room. It's all about connecting the pieces together. If you've got different patterns and colors going on in your wallpaper, then you can bring that into the furnishings and into your upholstery and into any rugs on the floor so that there's literally little bits and pieces of it in everything that you're looking at in the room. And it doesn't overpower when it's done right. There is a visual flow that you can end up with that really works. This is where you got to be careful. Depending on the size of your bedroom, we do recommend going with smaller prints. If you've got a smaller bedroom, if you've got a big, huge bedroom, then you can go with big, bold patterns because big, bold patterns can overtake a space if they're not used in the right amount. So the possibilities with this really are endless. When you start getting online and looking for some inspiration, then you're going to see that there's just really a million different ways that you can go. And one of the commonalities that you're going to find in this is which color palette really speaks to you. Because you might think that you know which are your favorite colors and you maybe have them already going on in your living room or maybe in your kitchen, somewhere else in your house. Just give it a moment's extra thought. Is this really the best color choice for my bedroom too? We personally recommend using cooler colors like the blues and the greens, mixed in with some earthy colors, with the browns and the beiges, getting into some neutrals for the bedroom. Because when you get into the warmer colors, those tend to have more energy to them. Those are your reds and your oranges and your yellows. And for some people, those are just too strong to have in the bedroom. And there's been some information out there. It's up to you whether you choose to believe it or not. I find it to be an interesting topic, but if you have bright, energy-filled colors on your walls and you turn off the lights and it's pitch black, you can't see them, some people truly do believe, though, that energy is still in the room. And if you're trying to get a good night's sleep in a room that's painted in these big, bold, bright colors, even though you can't see them, that it still affects your quality of sleep. I don't know, maybe that's the case for some people, maybe other people don't care. That's totally up to you to decide which way you want to go. We're of the school of thought that if you have something that is truly visually pleasing and it's putting out that right energy and that vibe that takes you to your tropical happy place, then when you do flip off the lights at night, that's going to continue. So what during the day is there when you've got the lights off at night, and it's just a continuous feel. Your train of thought is the same when you turn the lights off. So that's the way that we recommend going, is do what works for you during the day. And then if you have that same feeling after you flip the lights off at night, you're on the right path. You've done a good thing. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is getting a good night's sleep. If you're not sleeping well at night, tomorrow is going to suffer in some shape, way, or form. So even if you're one of these people that says, oh, I only need 3 or 4 hours of sleep, more power to you, but I think that's going to catch up with you in due time, especially as you get older. So, you want to maximize the amount of time that you can sleep, the number of hours you have available. Why not sleep the best you can? So just give that a thought. When you're looking at colors in your house and now you're ready to do your bedroom, are those colors going to work in your room as well? If they do, great. If not, as I said, when you get online and you start looking at some inspiration, when it comes to bold patterns and smaller patterns and which way that you're going to go, color palettes really do make a lot of difference. And just a quick side note, if you're really having difficulty deciding on what color you might want, I actually came across this in some of the research that we were doing for the show, is that if you get a really good quality sound machine, one that has sounds of the nature, preferably like tropical sounds, tropical rains, tropical rainforest sounds, the ocean waves, and it's a good one where it doesn't have that annoying loop or that canned sound to it where you can tell when the loop ends and then it starts again. So annoying. But if you have a really good one, then by closing your eyes, relaxing, just letting your thoughts flow, listening to the sound, imagining what this space should look like. I'm hearing what it should sound like. What should it look like? And that really works for a lot of people. Colors will start to come to your mind, pleasing things. They will be colors and images of what you want to see that naturally pair with these sounds that you're listening to. That's a journey to your little tropical escape right there. If a really beautiful image starts to come together in your mind, then create it in real life. Make a note if you're super busy and you've got a hectic schedule and you're worried about maybe losing your train of thought later. Write these things down when you're done. Make a note in your phone. Hey, I really imagine this and that. The colors were this and that. And there was a little bit of this and that in there as well. And I saw this cool piece, or I just saw this neat look. It's all inspiration. It's all breathing, relaxing, and imagining. So you can really come up with some cool color combinations if you take some time out of your busy day and just do that. Chill for a bit and imagine what your place should look like. It really works. And then, as we say in just about everything we write or talk about on the show, plants are a must. Now, when it comes to real plants, again, be careful in the bedroom, because if you have any kind of a mold allergy, plants don't work in the bedroom. I'm sorry, I've encountered that later in my life. I had plants in my room for years, and then I just reached a point in my 40s where my nose was just always stopped up or something was going wrong. And then when I left the room or went to work that day or whatever, everything was fine. And over time, I discovered it was being physically next to these plants. And my wife and I, we do sleep with a fan in the room for a little bit of white noise. So that's blowing everything around continuously during the night. If you are susceptible to any kind of a mold allergy or even dust allergies, be careful with real plants in the bedroom because they can totally interrupt your sleep. I am living proof of that. So there are no real plants in our bedroom. If that is the case, high quality fake ones, there are some beautiful ones out there. We've got links to some on our website. We are an Amazon partner, so we do make a small commission if you should happen to click through and actually purchase something, but that is at no cost to you. Amazon is really good about that. So there are no charges to anybody who buys through an affiliate link. But we do love to link to these things because there's a million things available online and on Amazon. We've just created some shortcuts and said, hey, these are some tried and true ones. We've bought many of these. We have them in our house. They're really cool. Here's the link to it. So yes, plants are a must. And again, just a reminder, if you've got real ones or fake ones, they need dusting. Fake ones are just because you don't have to water them and prune them and all of that, they do get dirty. So keep everything dust free and really highlight the beautiful greens and any florals that might be on there. Yeah, plants are very important. So, getting into some of the design styles here that we had mentioned at the top of the show, one is just keeping things simple and elegant. No fuss. You don't have to put a lot of stuff in your room. And if you keep in mind some of the things that we talked about when we kicked off the show about color palettes, what are your inspirations? Is it palm trees? Is it lava rocks? When you start pulling together everything that you like about the tropics, but you want a look that's very simple, very elegant, something like this could look like a single color of paint on all of the walls, no wallpaper. You've got some really nice higher end pieces of wall art on your walls. The decor pieces, you only have a few, but what you have are very nice. And then your furnishings are very limited too. The focal point maybe is the bed with a couple small nightstands. Maybe you've got a chair in there. You've got your dresser, but there are no real accent pieces. There's no things in there to fill up corners and spaces. If you've got empty spaces, they're perfectly fine the way they are. Especially if you've got beautiful flooring, maybe you've got nice hardwoods, maybe you've got some nice tile going on or beautiful kind of carpet going on in there as well. Simple and elegant. It's cleaner, it's more minimal, it's more on the upscale side, and you're only highlighting maybe two colors. You've got your primary color on the wall. And then in your wall art, that's where you can have maybe one or two other primary colors. So it's very basic, but it's a very full look. It's a very complete look. So yeah, consider simple and elegant. We've got a really nice example of it actually in our blog post, which I mentioned. There's some imagery there where a bedroom is done in gray, which is an unlikely tropical color for some people, but grays, the different grayish tones, they factor in huge in tropical scenery. They're in the skies on a stormy day. They're in the rocks that you're looking at. If you are in a mountainous area or you're at a river or a waterfall or something, lots of grays in tropical scenery. So yeah, don't discount gray. It can really work if it's done right. Works great with some green. Green is a great accent color for it. Then moving into another idea here is an outdoor inspiration. This is where you are bringing the outdoors in. And this works really well if you are fortunate enough to have windows or a sliding door, maybe that opens up onto a nicely landscaped area of your yard. Maybe you've got a cool patio out there with some great plants. If it's upstairs, maybe you've got a nice balcony with scenery. You've just got a nice view from that space. That's where you take elements of what you see outside and you replicate them inside. So it just creates one nice continuous flow. You're looking outside through the windows and you just see some cool things. And then as you turn around and look inside your room, those cool things are in there too. So bringing in colors from some awesome trees or flowers that are out there. If you've got mountains in the background or hills, maybe some of your wall art could reflect mountain or hills as well. The different woods, if there's anything wood-wise, you've got some trees maybe out there, or you're looking out onto something maybe that's just constructed of a really beautiful wood, maybe a nice gazebo or a pergola, or maybe if you see your neighbor's house and they've got something really cool going on in terms of a gazebo or pergola or a covered patio, really nice elements of it, you replicate that with some furnishings in your room being in that same color, maybe that same sort of texture, whatever it is you're looking at. So yeah, the idea there with outdoor inspiration is bringing the outdoors in, replicating what you see outside, bringing it inside, so that on a nice day when you've got the windows open or maybe those patio doors, French doors are open, it's just one big continuous scene. If you live in an area climate-wise where you can just open the windows a lot, it really works well. We absolutely love it. Another great idea that we have is just keeping things simple but green. This is where you leave all the greenery in your plant life. So if you have walls that are done in white, maybe a really cool dark hardwood floor or dark tiling, and then your white walls just really pop, then you've got a few statement plants in there, a big palm in the corner, maybe a fiddle leaf fig, something that grows tall and bushy. And then you can have a few smaller plants on accent tables or a side table under the window. maybe in a windowsill, a bit of artwork on the wall. Green can be the predominant color. The thing with green, it is the second biggest tropical color after blue, blue being the primary color because of the ocean and the skies, green because of the greenery, the landscaping. Where it rains a lot, plants are green. So, yeah, you can really focus on green if you've got a way to make that pop. You've got a way to showcase it. And that works against light colored walls, white walls. Yeah, another beautiful look for you to consider. Something else that we would like to give you as an idea is just the tropics in general. And by that, we mean this is where you can combine a few looks together, where you've got the bit of the surfer look, maybe, and a little bit of tiki going on. Maybe you've got a cool, either a real or a fake palm tree going in the corner, but you've got lights that are wound up the trunk. Maybe you've got a surfboard propped up in the corner of your room. Maybe you've just got some really cool tiki art going in there, and the walls are done in maybe a really neat sky blue type of color. And then on the bed, you've got some bright pops of orange and pink and some pillows. And you just got that real beachy vibe going on. That's a fun look too. It works well for kids and teens. I think it works very well for adults too. So why not? That kind of overall surfer beach hut, flip-flops and t-shirt type of look, just the bar stools in the sand and just that kind of look. It works very well. So it's just fun and it's light and it's airy. A day at the beach. It's literally making your room look like it's a day at the beach. So moving on here, there's another polished look that you can get into, which kind of has a more rustic edge to it. So like taking from the simple and elegant look, this one is a little bit the same in terms of the number of pieces and things that you're going to have. Wall art's going to be minimal, furnishings are going to be minimal. But what you do have is rustic. Maybe you've got a cool side table or just some kind of cool bed or trunk at the foot of the bed, but it's made with a live edge. It features the live edge of wood where the slab of wood used to make the tabletop retains its natural shape. It hasn't been squared off to make a rectangle or a square. It is literally the raw edge of the wood. Maybe the legs are left unfinished, and then you've got side tables to match, and they're literally not matching in terms of form because even if they're made from the same material or the same wood, again, you've got that live edge thing going on where no two are going to be identical. That's where you can also then bring in a rougher texture in mats or rugs, your natural woven grasses, things like seagrass or a jute rug, sisal rugs, hemp fiber, these kinds of things where it's a very natural kind of rough look. Then for the walls, maybe this is where you're going to have more textural art instead of things that are like a higher end, maybe really nice framed prints or things like that. This is where maybe you've got some really cool baskets that were made by a tropical artist. There's cool basketry that comes out of places like the South Pacific, and we are on the hunt for those kinds of things, and sometimes they are tough to find, but do check our little online store at ceruleanbay.com. Maybe we've got a piece there for you. But it's that kind of thing where you've got, instead of framed art, you've got actual pieces on the wall, woven textures, maybe a really cool woven rug that you can use as wall art if it's small enough to be able to put on the wall. But you're adding textures. It adds that warmth and depth to the room. A little rustic tropical sanctuary. Yeah, consider that. Things with a rougher edge, a more natural look to it, and a rougher texture to things. It's what you would see in nature if you're in the tropics. So there's a lot of unrefined looks when you are out on the beach or you're visiting the local villages. So you can really bring a lot of that inspiration in. Another cool idea is just keeping things more on the resort look. So it's got that higher end sophistication that you would find at a luxury resort. This is where if there's carpeting in the room, it's going to be a higher pile. It'll be that more lush, luxurious feel. There might even be a beautiful rug on top of that. You could have textured headboards, or if they're wood, they're beautifully carved. This is where you've got more plant life in the room. And the rooms tend to be done more in neutrals. So you're going to have more browns and tans, beiges, maybe even some mustard yellows. And then any of the real tropical colors are going to come in floral arrangements, fake plants, maybe, so that you have flowers that last forever, wall art, this kind of thing. The bold accent colors are really that. They're in accents. There's maybe a chair over by a window with a really bright throw on it, and it's got just really bright cushions. But your carpeting and your bedding and your furnishings, these are all going to be more on the natural side, more neutral, earth tones. We've done a lot of online research where a lot of higher end resorts, that's just the look they have. I don't know if it's a trending thing. Absolutely beautiful places to visit. We do have a small travel section on our site too, if you are so inclined to look at that, maybe for some inspiration, or if you really want to get out and travel, we've got some cool hotel reviews on there. But it is one look. So that resort sophistication is a nice look to have. A seventh look that we have here as we move down our list is the enchanting jungle. We're getting back into the greens, lots of different shades of greens. If you think of a rainforest or you've seen a nice resort where they have beautiful landscaping, many shades of green in there from light to dark. So a room like this is going to usually have a darker shade of green on the walls. And then any plants in there, which you've got to have plants, those are going to have their own shades of green to them. That green is then carried into the bedding where now you might have some floral colors coming out. There could be some oranges or maybe some pinks or corals, maybe some blues in there as well. But your primary color theme is going to be green and a jungle look. This is where it works really well to have a textured headboard, maybe rattan furniture in there. Again, very natural. It's woods that came from the trees type of thing, but they're not like super polished. They're not beautiful polished woods like cherry wood or walnut. Again, this is where you want that kind of rough, natural look. So you've got the rattan, you've got bamboo. Excellent choice would be bamboo furniture in there. And then you've got baskets and again, just more rough textures. It's the jungle. It's going to be the rough textures. It's the branches and the leaves, and you've just got that whole look going on in there. So that could be a really cool idea for you if that is your vibe. If you are looking for something that's maybe a little more simple and you've got just a white or a light color going on the walls and maybe everything else is just light and basic because you're just not into the big bold patterns and the big bold colors, but you're still wanting a pop of something, but you don't really know what it is. That's where you just do what we call statement wallpaper. And that's where you can literally consider your bed where the headboard is. So you're literally just focusing on that section of the wall and putting a really cool strip, so to speak, a strip of wallpaper up there. And it's got maybe some palm fronds, or it's just got a cool, nice scene to it. Something that's nice. You don't want to do anything that's touristy or that looks like you bought it at the dollar store, because this is where we do think you should spend a little bit more money. It's on a very high quality wallpaper. They do have the ones that are peel and stick, and then they have the ones where you need more of the traditional glue to make sure that it's properly adhered to the wall. But these are higher quality wallpapers. The scenery on them is going to be just beautiful. And you're only talking about a small section of it. Again, it's maybe just a strip where your headboard is. That's where that could go. Or if your room has a particular niche or an alcove or just some sort of architectural detailing where there's a section of wall that's framed on its own, you can fill it with a wallpaper and you're done. You don't need to worry about wall art or anything else. So you can get that one little burst of the tropics in there, just one little bold pop of something, and then the rest of the room is left alone. So it's a great way to just make a statement, but then that's it. The rest of the room is muted, relaxed, and subdued. So yeah, keep that in mind that wallpaper does not mean you have to do a whole wall or a whole room. It works very well in one little spot too. Another cool look that we have for you also speaks heavily to exotic resorts and luxury high end and just that island feel is organic tropical that we call it. It's one that really features a light and airy look. It's also going to have a lot of the natural aspect, as the name mentions, organic. This is where you're getting into bamboo canopies, maybe with light linen, airy curtains over the bed, like those four-poster beds that they have the curtains that you can bring down and around at night, which in their truest setting was to keep the mosquitoes and the bugs out of the bed. But most resorts now do have screens in the windows and modern air conditioning and things like that. But the effect is still really cool. If you have a four-poster bed or a way of hanging these linens around the bed on a bamboo frame, it looks really cool. You bring in some greenery as well, and you've got that stationed around the room strategically to create kind of a mild tropical jungle look. And then you bring in some darker colors, but keeping the overall look of the room maybe white or a lighter color. That way you can really showcase the light and airiness of the space. So when you want that breezy kind of feel, lighter colors tend to work better with that. But here you can get really creative. You can bring in some really cool textures, woven baskets and things like that. We have an example in our blog post of somebody who actually decided not to use a traditional box spring from their bed, but they brought in pallets, wooden pallets that they're using as a mattress platform. And when I saw the image, I'm like, it looks really cool. It's got a very rough kind of organic look to it, but I'm really wondering what that sounds like when you go to bed. It is probably very creaky, even though it's creative. But so just a word to the wise, if you're thinking of venturing out there into the outliers of what might be able to be pulled into the room and you're thinking of using pallets for the box springs, just see if that's going to work at night, see how comfortable it's going to be, see how much noise it might make. If it does work, what a great way to save money, though, because pallets are cheap or they're free if you can find them compared to expensive box springs. So there is your pallet tip for the day. But this kind of organic tropical look is that. It's just very light. It's very crisp. It's very natural. It's a very casual, laid back island way of living without it being higher end or pretentious or anything like that. Very comfortable, very low key. So organic tropical is cool. And then the last idea we were going to bring to you is just one that really shows off the sea life. So when you think of marine life, there's a lot of it. It tends to be very colorful. So here you're going to be getting into colors when you bring in anything that really has to do with the sea life, whether this is getting into the different fish. You've got maybe something with an octopus in your artwork, or you're bringing in seashells and you've got corals. And if you imagine the barrier reefs, or if you're into diving, then you know firsthand what that looks like and just how colorful that is. You're bringing those colors. That's what it is. You're bringing that coral reef into the bedroom. So you've got light blues and different shades of lighter greens, lots of coral colors. And then your artwork is really going to speak to that as well. And you've got all of the different fish and different sea animals that can be in art form. There's also plant form. There's the sea fans and beautifully done seaweeds. You can even get natural pieces that are framed, which are absolutely beautiful for the wall. It brings in that real natural textural element right out of the water. And you can really create something that a lot of places called island chic. It's very nice. You can even go high end with it. It's a look that is very common in the Caribbean, different Caribbean resorts on a lot of the islands down there. They all have that look with a lot of brighter colors, but they really show off the sea life, which is great because you're bringing in the natural life, the natural landscaping. It's your natural surroundings, and you're using that as your inspiration and art form. And this is what people pay to go and see as a visitor to these islands. When you're going to tropical resort, it's what you expect to see there. And it's what you're going to see on the beach and in the water and in your room. So it works really well. If you are looking for that tropical escape that just is really going to remind you of a place you went, maybe it was your honeymoon, maybe it was an amazing diving trip that you did. Going with the colorful sea life look is an excellent way to bring that back to life because it's what a lot of people see when they go. So we recommend bringing it into your room so that you can have it even when you're not on an exotic island somewhere and it is on a Tuesday during the week and you get home from work, you can retreat to your bedroom and you are back on the islands. So that's what we are all about here, is creating that tropical retreat at home. So those were 10 ideas with some design inspiration behind those, where you can take these design ideas and then infuse them the way you want. Go as bold as you want with colors and patterns. Go as minimal as you want with them. Keep things on the neutral side, but you can go simple and elegant. You can go rough and rustic. You can just go light and airy and keep things very basic, or you can go full on jungle and bring the jungle in with some heavy print wallpaper and lots of plants and some great artwork. And it's just that it almost brings in more of that cozy vibe to it when it's time to go to bed at night. But yeah, the bedroom is an awesome room to work with because it's yours. It is the most private room in the whole house. It is your happy place to end the day. And we're hoping to wake up in the morning too. We want people to be happy when they're getting out of bed, whether it's on a Monday or a Friday or whatever day. We just really want people to be happy in life, and having your own tropical escape at home is going to contribute to that. It can really just help so much having beautiful visuals around you whenever possible. Get a good sound machine, or if you've done your living room or family room and you've got another tropical escape corner in your house or something where the TV is, maybe with a great sound system, immerse yourself in those sounds of the ocean and sounds of the islands. And YouTube is full of those where you can just listen to hours of the sounds of nature, and so relaxing. You can bring some of that into your room. As we've said, minimal use of cell phones. That's what we recommend. You can turn that on and play that through your phone. Just wind down and relax. And you're on a very comfortable bed. Make sure you've got comfortable bedding, good quality bedding, because as we said, good quality sleep is so important and it's so restorative. And the older you get, just the more important that is. But yeah, your bedroom should be the happy place. It's your refuge. It's a place for peace and quiet. You go there to be renewed and refreshed after a wonderful night's sleep. We actually do think it is the most important room in the house. We really do, because that is where your health is most directly affected because of sleep. So we think with these really cool tropical bedroom design ideas, you're going to be able to change your sleeping space into a year-round tropical paradise. So having said that, we definitely thank you for tuning in and for joining us on Patreon. We really appreciate the people supporting us in our different membership tiers that we have there. We have our website, ceruleanbay.com, where you can check out our blogs. We have our online store. We're on the search for some cool products for that little store all the time, and just really cool design ideas and other things for different parts of the house and for the outside. We've got our YouTube channel where we've got some teaser videos to things that are also found on Patreon. So we hope you have really enjoyed today's show and that you have found it to be inspiring and just mentally relaxing and fun, and that you just want to go check your bedroom. Make sure that it is what it should be and that it is just the most relaxing place possible. So until next week, we just wish you a ton of health and happiness, a ton of tropical inspiration. Be happy, be well, and take care. We will catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.